Hi guys, welcome to the Darkness channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. After receiving some money, I bought a lakeside cabin. I should have listened to the warnings. The cabin came with a story and more. I'm writing this so that people will know what happened and what drove me to do what I did. I'm writing this as a warning so that no one else will follow in my footsteps. It began last week. I had recently inherited some money, not I never have to work again money, but still a good amount. It was from an aunt on my father's side. I had really only ever met her a couple of times when I was a kid. I hadn't had any contact with her after my father died when I was in my 20s, even though she was my last living relative. I instantly knew what I wanted to spend it on. I had always wanted a small cabin in the woods where I could flee the everyday stress, the city, and all the shit that we all have to deal with on a daily basis. A place just for me, where I could kick back by the fire and just recharge my batteries. I wouldn't say I'm an introvert. I just enjoy my own company more than spending time with others. That's all. So, a couple of weeks ago, I'm browsing the internet for cabins not too far away from where I live. And my curiosity was piqued by an ad on one of the old websites with houses for sale. A small one-story wooden cabin situated right by a medium lake in the middle of the woods. Not another house for miles in any direction and only about a 2-hour drive from my home. It looked exactly like the cabin I've always seen in my mind whenever I've been daydreaming about having my own place like that. Now it did seems to be a bit run down, but the price was almost too good to be true. I just had to see this place with my own eyes. Curiously enough, even though they've posted an ad for this place online, I couldn't seem to find a website for the agency. Only a landline phone number and the ad itself. I called the agency to set up a meeting with their agent. After a few unanswered signals, a man answered. He sounded out of breath, like he had rushed to answer the phone. We decided that I was going to drive up to their office on Tuesday last week and meet up with him. And together, we were going to drive down to the cabin to have a look. So, Tuesday comes. I'm super excited all day and feeling good about this place. 2 minutes after I got off work, I'm in my car, typing in the address to the agency in my GPS and off I go. The office was located in a small town not too far from the cabin, about 30 minutes by car. The town itself was your typical small community with small shops and stores that looked like they had been owned by the same families for generations. A small church, kids playing in their yard with the fallen autumn leaves on the ground. It seemed to be a quiet, peaceful place to live. A typical everybody knows, everybody place. The not-so-gentle GPS voice abruptly advised me that I was coming up to my destination in a couple of minutes. I took a turn and saw the sign for the agency on the other side of the street. I turned my car around at the next intersection, and when I came up to the place, a man was standing outside with a briefcase, constantly checking his watch, clearly waiting for someone to arrive. I parked my car and got out to go over to the agency when the man looked over my way. "You're here for the cabin, right?" he said with a classic sales smile on his face. "The cabin by the lake?" Yes, I am," I replied. "All right, well, let's get going," he said while shaking my hand firmly, "before we lose the last daylight." He got into his car that was parked down the street and asked me to follow him in my car. I noticed that he seemed a bit stressed, his face a bit pale with beads of sweat on his forehead, like he was coming down with something. We drove out of the small town and was soon driving onto a sting and turning small roads through the woods. The trees were exploding in autumn, color yellow, orange, and red. It was mesmerizing, like driving through an oil painting. After driving for about 30 or 40 minutes in this gorgeous scenery, the agent's car took a sharp down a small dirt road. If you didn't know it was there, you probably never would have seen it. It was overgrown with high grass and was a bumpy ride. Luckily, we only had to drive down it for about 10 minutes. Then I saw it, the cabin. It was from what I could see all what I had hoped for, and more. I couldn't wait to go inside and check it out. I was so excited. I parked my car next to his and got out. "So here we are," he said. "Indeed." "God, what a beautiful place," I whispered to myself while looking around. The cabin looked just like in the ad. A small dark wooden house right next to the lake. The lake itself looked a lot bigger than it did on the small photos I had seen. The surroundings were all forest. Everywhere you looked, all you saw were these giant, ancient, majestic trees, reaching for the skies, now full of colors. The ground was covered with the fallen leaves, some dancing around in circles in the middle, winds blowing. You could really smell the fall in the air. Soon it would be winter, and I could only imagine how beautiful this place would look like covered in snow. I decided then and there that I would spend my entire holiday vacation there. "Should we have a look?" I heard him say, awaking me from daydreaming. Yes, of course, show the way," I said, smiling. "So, this cabin is old," the agent said while slowly walking towards the front door. "In fact, we don't know who built it or when," he continued, "but for as long as we have had a town record, this cabin has been here. And we've been keeping record for about 140 years. But I honestly think this cabin is much older than that. Now, of course, the cabin has been a couple of different owners over the years, and most of them has modernized the place in some way or another when moving in. For instance, there is running water, an indoor bathroom, and electricity. There is, however, no landline telephone, and the cell reception out here is sketchy at best." No worry," I said. "My plan is to come out here to get away from all of that anyway. So that's actually just good. Give me another reason not to check my emails every 5 minutes. Haha, yeah, I know what you mean. Come on, let's go inside," he said. I didn't say anything, but his sales pitch was unnecessary. I had already made my mind up. I needed this place. It was, however, out of character for me to feel like this. I could easily spend several days browsing through different stores, comparing prices just for a pair of jeans. Yet, here I was, ready to hand over quite the amount of cash on a cabin I've never even set foot in. But somehow, it didn't bother me. It was like I was drawn to it. I needed it. I wanted it with every fiber of my being. The front door opened straight into a large living room. In the wall to my right, there was a big stone fireplace. beautifully and masterfully built with large stones of different form and sizes, colorfully placed like a jigsaw puzzle, framing the fireplace. Opposite it, to my left, was a door to the bedroom, and next to that, the door to the bathroom. I immediately fell even more in love with the place. I was so into it that at first I didn't even reflect over the fact that it was furnished. The bedroom was a cozy little room with a big window overlooking the woods and the dirt road we drove down a couple of minutes earlier. In front of the window there hung old, see-through, once white curtains, the ones grandmas always have for some reason. An old sturdy bed stood in the center of the room, complete with a mattress and bedspread. If not for all the dust, it looked like someone had just got up from it this morning and left it. Next to the bed there was a small-sized table with a candle holder, covered in old melted stearine. The bathroom was a small space with just the things you needed: a shower, a toilet, and a sink. You can tell this part was added on not that long ago, but still it looked like it had been there for quite some time. It needed some cleaning, that's just for sure, but all in all it was just fine. On the far side of the living room there were 3 big windows, with an amazing panoramic view of the lake and the surrounding forest. That was about it. The cabin wasn't much more than that, which was perfectly fine by me. I certainly didn't need it any more than this. I could already see myself sitting in front of the fire with a glass of scotch and nothing on my mind. This place was perfect. Yeah, the previous owners left everything behind, it seems, the agent suddenly said. I can't for sure tell you what happened to them. I just know we got a letter from them, including the key to the cabin, saying they had to move and that we should contact them when the place got sold to wire them their money. You can keep the furniture if you want, or replace it. Whatever you want. Weird, I thought, but not unheard of. People can have to move in a hurry for any number of reasons. I looked around and the furniture really did go well with the place. Big strong wooden tables, a leather sofa that looked to be really comfy, bookshelves filled with the old book and the lamps. I really gave the place a nice ambience. I'd probably have to buy a new bed though, I thought, feeling a bit weird about sleeping in some stranger's old bed. I went over to the big windows to take another look of the amazing view. The last ray of the sun gently kissing the lake and the woods. It was first then that I noticed an opening to my right, on the same side as the fireplace. It led into a small kitchen. It had all the basic, nothing fancy, but just what you needed. There was also a back door from the kitchen leading out to the backyard, right by the lake. I opened the door and took a step out. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath of the crisp autumn air. It filled my lungs and I could feel myself growing calm. Slowly, I opened my eyes to the view in front of me and took it all in. It was truly amazing, a little piece of paradise. I drew another long, filling breath before I stepped back inside and closed the door behind me. I was looking through the drawers and cabinets when I noticed that the floor sounded differently in the middle of the kitchen. There was a small carpet there, and when I pushed it away with my foot, it revealed an old hatch underneath. It hangs blackened by time and neglect. I looked over to the agent who was leaning against the wall by the kitchen entrance. "Go ahead," he said, almost in an excited manner, motioning with his head toward the hatch. "Open it." I leaned down and grabbed the handle and pulled the hatch toward me. It creaked and groaned like it hadn't been opened in years. The deep, dark, empty space beneath it stared back at me as I was trying to see what was down there. A steep wooden staircase with questionable stability led down into the darkness. I looked around for a flashlight, and like he was reading my mind, the agent came over and handed one to me. "Here you go," he said with a smile. "I always keep one on me whenever I go into the woods." I started to descend the stairs with one hand firmly gripping the wall and the other one holding the flashlight, illuminating the steps in front of me. About 15 steps down, I made it do what looked to be a classic dirt cellar, the kind they used to have in the old days when you needed somewhere to keep your food from spoiling, if you didn't have access to the refrigerator. This dirt cellar, however, was a bit different. It looked like someone had used it as an office of some sort. There was an old desk and 2 big bookshelves along the walls and packed with books of all sizes. What an odd place to put an office, I thought. I shone the flashlight around the small space and saw that there was an old oil lamp hanging from a hook in the ceiling. I took it down and brought it with me back up to the kitchen. I got to say, I really love this place. But I've got to ask, why the cheap price? I asked the agent. "Well, to be honest, we've had this place on the market for quite some time now, without any luck. I really don't know why no one else has come along sooner and swooped this beauty up. 'Cause as you've seen yourself, it's a beautiful and well-maintained place. Hell, if I had the money myself." "It really is something," I said, slowly looking around. "You know what?" I said after a moment, not wanting to sound too eager. "I'll take it. Where do I sign?" I didn't think he could possibly smile any wider than he had done this whole time. But when I said I wanted to buy this place, I swear I thought his face would crack from how wide his smile was. "Right here," he said while opening his briefcase that he'd been holding on to this whole time. He toasted it up on the kitchen counter and opened the clasps on either side and pulled out a stack of paper. He had the contract drawn up and ready to be signed. Sign here, here, there, initial there, and there. He looked almost like someone who had 9 out of 10 lottery numbers down and just waited for the jackpot number. I put down my last initials and noticed how he was breathing heavily and had started to sweat a little. "There you go," he almost shouted. "You're officially a cabin owner. Congratulations." "Thank you very much," I said. "But what about the money?" "Oh, there's an account number in there somewhere," he said, while pointing to my copy of the contract. "Just wire us the money when you can. I trust you." "Oh, okay. I'll do that as soon as I have access to the internet again." "Perfect. Well, I got to go. I have a long drive home, and it really is getting dark out here," he said while he was walking toward the front door. "Yeah, me as well," I said, following him. He suddenly stopped and turned around. "You mean you're not staying here tonight?" No. I have work tomorrow and need to get some stuff from home before I can stay the night here. I'll probably drive up this weekend to get settled." "Oh, I see," he said, looking almost disappointed. "Well, drive safe and don't hesitate to call if you have any questions." And with that, he was out the door and within minutes driving up to the dirt road again. Thanks for staying till the end. Please subscribe to more stories.